my Bedford Stuyvesant, it's called the Atrium at Sumner Houses. It's a public housing project. Will open in a month. And it's one of the most interesting projects, challenges, because, I myself was born in a homeless shelter, and I myself grew up in the Bronx when I was an immigrant to this country in a first public housing project built in the United States, the Amalgamated Housing Workers Cooperative in the Bronx, built in the 20s. Building number one no longer exists, but it was in that famous film in the 20s called The Garment Jungle. So it was a housing project for working people. My parents were both working people, worked in factories, and I grew up in this public housing project, which was wonderful. Of course, it did not have air conditioning, it did not have elevators, but it didn't matter because it had people who appreciated being together, taking care of the place, and being in love with the spirit of New York and its immigrant population.
Talk about a full circle moment for you.
Totally. Well, it's not by coincidence that I took on these projects. And I think Nina, my wife and partner, was also instrumental because we are such believers that we cannot just build for the elites and for the rich. We have to extend architecture. And most importantly, for people who cannot afford the housing on the markets of New York and other great cities around the world. And every country in the world, wherever I go, has the problem of affordable housing. There's just not enough of it. People can't afford to live in decent places. So yes, that's why I'm so happy to have participated in these two projects as an architect.
Right. It really gives people a sense of dignity. Going back to the notion of Singapore back in the 60s, that's what they did. They created these HDB flats, the Housing Development Board flats, to give people a sense of ownership and that they could have their own place and they could have a sense of dignity and help to build the country in that way.
When the building in Long Island opened, a woman made a speech and she said, I've never had a home. I lived on the subways. I lived in the parks. And I couldn't believe when I entered this building that is for me. I opened the door and I couldn't believe the space that I can enjoy. There was a bed. There was a beautiful window. There was something fantastic. And I thought to myself, that was the most moving thing I ever heard as an architect. Because it was about a human being. It was not about a statistic, it was about a person, and it changed their life. She said, my life has been totally changed. I'm in a different world now.